Hi, welcome to the DeSoto Speedway Racing Show. We're real happy you're here with us tonight. This will be our third broadcast in our new show that's all about DeSoto Speedway. We call it the South's Fastest Short Track, and every week we're here to make it your show. So as you have comments, feel free to call us on the line that you'll see the number up, and we'll be glad to take your questions later on. At this time, I'd like to direct your attention to our guest tonight. In our co-host seat tonight is Bert Thomas, the racetrack director, and he's going to be sitting in with us this week. TR will be back later on, and then we have other co-host guests that'll be here as well. And on my right, you'll see Jack King and Sean McLaughlin.
How are you doing?
Great. Nice to have you all here.
Thanks. Nice to be here.
They race in the modified mini stock division and came in first and second this week, and you'll see some footage, and we'll take you into their shop and see them as they get ready to race out at the Speedway. Tonight we have a great show planned for you, and basically it'll be broken into 4 parts. The first segment of racing that you'll see will be one of the 2 street stock features that we ran this week, along with the modified mini stock feature. Then in our second segment, you'll see the mini stocks and the pure stock class that runs. And then after that, there'll be an interview that I did with Dwayne Music, the owner of the Speedway, and that was done at the racetrack Saturday night. At the end, we'll go into the King garage area, and they'll be narrating, and we told them not to be nervous tonight, said this is easy, you just go and wing it. So we think that's going to be a lot of fun. And as I go along, of course, feel free to come in and make comments. That's what it's all about, and I sure can use the help. So that's it. We did notice last week that we had some calls that were geared toward more technical things. People were asking questions about the racetrack rules and some of the calls out there, and some of the rules regarding the cars, which were quite technical. We'd like to have you hold those questions for the track directly and be able to call them at the track phone number, which will be on your screen as well. That way the track can field those questions more properly. We'd like to take the show more in a general sense for people who may not know all the specifics. So we'll call that the, what are we going to call it, Bert, the Margie gag rule?
That sounds like a good idea, the gag rule.
We'll call it the gag rule. If we get a question that we think is something that we can't answer, maybe a little controversial or whatever, we'll just kind of ask you if you would please refer that to the Speedway itself. So also, we've gotten a lot of interest and as calls as well. As you know, the racetrack show is live on Channel 36 in Sarasota on Wednesday night, as you're looking at it right now. And then it airs in Bradenton on Time Warner on 21 tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. So we did get calls even on Thursday night that we weren't live. We want you to continue to watch on Wednesday night and then tell your friends about it in Bradenton, and hopefully someday we'll be simulcast into both counties at the same time. That's the intent. So right now, Bert, we're going to go into probably our first segment, but let me ask you, what did you think overall of last week's racing action?
It was exciting. We started off with the makeup 20-lap street stock feature that got rained out a couple weeks before, and after we finished that, of course, we moved into the heat races, and then we had our features again, and we had some real good racing last week. It was exciting, it was close, very competitive. These 2 guys, as always, are extremely competitive in their class. One of them stands behind and waits for something to happen to try to get ahead of the other one, and they'll probably tell you about that later. They're fun to watch. Their cars come out every week looking like they're brand new, and we really appreciate that at the track because it improves the quality of the show just by having good-looking cars such as theirs out there.
Well, that's great. Well, at this time, what we'll do is we'll go into our first segment, and this is the Sarasota Jungle Gardens sponsored street stock, the first race that they ran. And as we go through here, there will be some commentary from the racetrack announcer, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. Of course, the field comes out in a tight 2x2 position into turn 4 and takes the flag right here. And usually they'll stay pretty tight going through those first turns.
Yeah, this is a makeup race from the rainout that we had 2 weeks before. So only the cars that were there 2 weeks ago were eligible to enter this race. We had other cars in the pits, but since they weren't there on the night of the rainout, they could not race in this one.
Okay, so that's what you have here. And these 2 have been pretty tight the whole time, the 2 lead cars. What's it feel like when you first come out of that turn, guys?
Just looking for places to go, and you don't ever plan what you're going to do when you go out there. You just go out there and take what the track gives you and try to do the best you can.
Well, there you go. Here's this guy. He didn't plan that one, but it looks like we kind of did a little, like I said last week, agricultural race in there. And that's what'll happen when you get 3 wide and one person looked like he came down a little bit on the other cars.
And someone will ask, well, why didn't that guy back off that got into him? Well, there's people behind him, too. Right. He backs off, they're going to get into him, and you'll have more cars involved.
A lot of times that's the worst thing when you back off and people behind you run into you.
That's right. People don't quite understand that sometimes.
Now, of course, the camera's coming right into the light here because it is late in the afternoon, and you'll notice it. There's a lot of reflection there. But this is winding down, of course, toward the end of the race. It looks like we're at the end there, and a real tight finish.
A couple real tough competitors right there. You can depend on these two guys to be at or near the front most every race day.
Right, of course, Brian Teeter's there in the front. He's from Ellington. And then, of course, Sonny, and his nickname is Gumby, and we all remember. Does he still run the Gumbies in his thing? I think I have seen him in there.
I don't know.
Little blue Gumbies hanging onto the... There we go, in the winner's circle there. So there's Brian of Ellington in the 03. He took the win. And then there's a 45 of Sonny Gumby Hughes from Bradenton, second place winner. And then the world's oldest stock car driver, Lucky Brown himself, holding that flag straight up as he has for how many years?
Lord only knows. He won't tell.
40 or 50. Okay, so that was the finish there. And now we're going into our next race, a modified mini stock race.
These are just a mini stock.
I'm sorry. Oh, see what I say? You got to correct me.
No problem. We've been doing it for years.
Okay, well, there you go. This is a Q Auto Accident Attorney sponsored class at the Speedway. There is a sponsor for each of the divisions, and their names are, of course, mentioned every time the printing and the advertising and everything at the Speedway is done. They start to spread a little bit quicker, it looks like, in this one. They're getting tight up there at the front.
That 90 car, he's always, and he's been pretty fast here lately, he's a hard charger.
Did you guys race in this class before you went to the modified minis?
I raced a couple years Stockton down on our home track down at Charlotte for a couple of years, and then I moved up to the modifieds after 2 years.
Do you find the speed to be much different between the two?
There's a lot of difference in speed when you get into a modified mini. You can't really tell on the track, but there is, and plus that other track down there is a lot smaller. You get rolling around Bradenton, it's pretty exhilarating.
A little more room to roam.
Right.
These cars don't handle near as good either. It's a lot more to drive one of these cars.
Stock setup.
I drove my wife's cars. My wife drives in this class. She has a car, and I've run it. I don't know, 4 or 5 times up here. And it's different.
It is different. There's Michael Birch from Auburndale. He took first place. He was the car number 90, or rather Philip Cruz 07. Sorry. Here we go, boy. I'm making them all tonight, aren't I? Michael Birch in second place, and Brent Yoder number 3 and third. So that was our first segment, and we'll be glad to take your calls. At this time, we're going to go to a break, and we appreciate your watching us here on the Desoto Speedway Show. Stay tuned, because in our second segment, we'll take 2 more feature races at Desoto Speedway from the action last Saturday night. We hope that you're enjoying the show and that you'll forgive my few little mistakes here, but you know, hey, we're not all perfect. So we look forward to seeing you on the next segment.
Action, fun, excitement. It's all at Desoto Speedway, the South's fastest short track. See late models, stocks, mini stocks, pro figure eights, and the best drivers. Enjoy hours of thrills and excitement. Bring the family. Great food, free parking, and a playground for the kids. Desoto Speedway, 8 miles east of I-75 on State Road 64. It's the place to be in '96.
Auto racing is exciting, but it's also dangerous. Drivers walk away from accidents without injury because their safety equipment worked. Today's racer needs to have the best in safety equipment. Hi-Fi Racing can provide you with everything you need for you and your car. We carry the best names such as Simpson, Bell, OMP, Featherlight, Butler-Built, Phoenix, Redline, Longacre, and more. Our new 1,200 square foot showroom is conveniently located near I-75 and I-4 in Tampa. Hi-Fi Racing, your source for safety.
My family depends on me, and when it comes to keeping the van up and running, I depend on Bill Graham Ford. They understand that my time is valuable, so they don't keep me waiting. When I schedule a service appointment with Bill Graham Ford, I know that I'll be taken care of promptly, and that my van will be ready when they say, with no unexpected surprises. My family trusts that I'll be there for them, and I trust Bill Graham Ford.
Bill Graham Ford. Great deals, great service, and great people.
If you're into boating, you ought to get to know Marine Surplus. They specialize in hard-to-find marine supplies and accessories. You'll find everything you need in boating, from anchors to zincs, in their 21,000 square feet of boating supplies and accessories. Just a mile and a half north of the airport on Old U.S. Highway 301. Marine Surplus is open from 9 to 5, Monday through Saturday, to serve all your boating needs. No need to spend a bundle. Shop Marine Surplus. Find what you need and save.
Hi, welcome back to the second segment of the Desoto Speedway Racing Show. I believe we have a call or two on the line, so at this time we'll go ahead and take one of those. Bert, you want to see who we got on there?
Yeah, I think we've got Fred on the line here. Hello, Fred, are you there?
Well, this isn't Fred, this is Jeannie.
I left Fred on that line. How'd you get on there?
Jeannie, hi, how are you? Is this Jeannie Corson?
Yep.
Well, I'm glad you called in. Pretty soon we're going to see that win where you came in first and your son came in second. How does it feel to come in first and second, mother and son combo?
Well, I think it's pretty neat, yeah.
And you've been racing...
We worked really hard at this, so, I mean, whether he comes in first or I come in first doesn't really matter because we know one of us is going to do it.
Well, that's great. And I know that you have well-prepared race cars, and you've been racing for how many years now?
11.
11 years. It's been that long?
Ever since she was 18.
I was going to say.
Yeah, since I was 18. That was it.
Well, that's great. And you have been tuning into the show here, I hope.
Oh, of course.
Oh, great. Well, that's wonderful. Well, so we just wanted to have your comments here and see what you felt like. And we're going to be talking about you shortly, so if your ears start burning, then you'll know why.
Oh, well, then I'll call back.
Oh, yeah. Oh, great. Can't wait. All right. Well, listen, thanks a lot then, Jeannie, for calling.
All right.
All righty. Have a nice night. And who do we have here?
Well, let's see if maybe we can find Fred on line 2. Fred, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I just wanted to tell you I'm really glad that you have a program like this because, as you know, I'm kind of laid up for a few months here, and at least I get to see some of the track running, plus the movies that you bring me, and I don't know, for your public, can't you buy tapes of these races? You have some good races that if somebody missed them, they can buy a tape of the race?
They certainly can. They're available at the racetrack on Saturday nights. Florida Video Services does all our taping out there, and they have them for sale. And Fred used to drive one of our push trucks at the track, and he's had some health problems lately, and he's going to be laid up for 2 or 3 months, so I've been providing him with the Saturday night race tapes. I've been taking it to him. And
really appreciate that.
Well, we appreciate to have people like you out there to help out just out of the goodness of your heart. And we hope you get better a whole lot quicker, Fred, and get out there with your push truck.
I hope they can get out there in September.
In the meantime, I'll keep bringing you the tapes.
All right, thanks again.
Thanks for calling.
We appreciate you calling, Fred.
Okay, Margie.
You know, a lot of the infield crew and many of the people are volunteers at the Speedway. They're not paid for their services, and Fred, who just called, is one such person, and we'd like to thank them because it takes a lot of tow trucks, a lot of push trucks, a lot of people that sweep the track that are unpaid, and so we want to thank them. We want to thank Fred for calling. Right now we're going to take our second segment of racing, and we have the mini stock races, and these guys are going to narrate the whole thing, so I don't have to say anything, right?
Great.
Here we go.
I love it. Okay, and after that, the pure stocks with Jeannie and her son. So here we go.
Okay, here we are fixing to take the green flag. Starting in 8th, Jack's right behind me in 10th. Green flag drops, the car in front of me didn't fire.
Pretty much jams you up when you get a car that doesn't fire, but you just have to live with it sometimes. Sometimes they restart, sometimes it's better, sometimes it's not. You never know.
When that car didn't fire, he immediately fell down to the inside, and the next car moved into place, so I went ahead and started and left it that way, rather than cause a wreck, throwing the yellow flag.
Bert did the right thing there. There goes Jimmy Gill and Mike Galloway. They're going to leave me and Jack here for a little while.
Yeah, Bert, now, you know, not a lot of people may know that you also stand up in the flag stand every week. You know, you wear a few hats.
Yeah, you're kind of all over the racetrack during the heat races, and then run over to the flag stand and relieve my assistant starter, Lee Fritchman. He does a good job for me when I'm not up there.
And what happened here? This guy was right up on you, and then he dropped back.
There was some debris on the track. I think the caution's going to come out here. I don't know if we'll see it or not, but something was on the track. I don't know if he hit it and thought he broke something, because I know I hit it.
Were they under yellow just then, and now we're back to
Yeah, we're
start?
back to green. There goes Jack fixing to take lead on his friend Mike Galloway there.
Mike's a good competitor. I've raced against him now for probably 3 or 4 years at different tracks, and never had a problem with Mike.
This class, of course, is sponsored by Marine Surplus, and you all see a lot of their advertising. They've got a big warehouse down on 301, and Marine Surplus is a real friend of racing, and they do sponsor this class, and also several cars out there as well. So we want to thank them. Now, here you go. Now that's a lap car there.
Yeah, we're coming off for the checkered flag, I think, right now.
Yeah, it's the checkered flag lap.
That's it. You love it. What's your first feeling when you finally see that flag?
Phew, glad it's there.
Yeah, you're glad it's over.
Once you get
and
the
there
lead,
you are.
Once you get the lead, that's when you start hearing all these funny noises in your car and stuff that's going to break.
And there's Sean in the 99, and we talked about he has a good friend, Dick Trickle, where he got that 99 white car.
There I was in second.
Mike Galloway in third. Here we go. Now here comes Jeannie. Jeannie, if you're watching, here comes your class, so you can narrate while you're at home. But basically, this class, of course, is very exciting, pure stock class.
They've gotten so competitive lately. There's any one of 10 or 12 cars can win this race on any given night. Very competitive class.
They're sponsored by Quality Automotive and Windshield Service, which is another good business. We always try to tell people to do business with people that support the track. Looks like a restart there, real tight single file.
Oh, a little bump
41 little bump there, Gus. I said, well, that's Gus, isn't it? See, I did it. And here we go. And winding them out now. It takes them a little bit longer to... We got a motor going here, looks like.
Actually, that was the rear end of the car, and I heard that when I dropped the green flag on the first lap. I heard the noise in the car, and I knew eventually that was going to happen. But
that's Dwayne Best.
You can't take them off the track because you think they're going to break. You just have to wait.
Boy, that differential grease really smells bad.
Oh, it makes a mess, too. It's hard to clean up. Give John Raymer and his broom crew a lot of credit. They cleaned that track up in a short time.
That's right, and here we go again.
They do a good job, too.
They sure do. People get a little impatient sometimes, but the track's got to be safe for racing, and sometimes it takes a while.
That's right. Here we are back to a restart again, real tight up there at the front. Little spin out there, a little nab right in the right place at the wrong time. We got one coming right into it there.
There's a lot of action at that track.
Yeah, it's
just the way that it's built.
A lot of action when you get that many cars on the track, too.
Yeah, that's really
back
a good
to
class.
Restart, and here we go again.
A lot of cars.
Especially when they're all close together in their times and running together.
Because I imagine they're hitting 75 mile an hour probably on the straightaway, somewhere in that vicinity. Gets the adrenaline flowing.
Well, that on TV versus in person, I say it every week, but it makes a big difference.
Yeah, you can't grasp the concept of the speed by watching it on television. You have to be out there.
You can feel the wind when you come by.
Or hear the noise.
Or the noise.
Or feel some of the parts that fly up and hit you in the starter stand.
You sure that's not parts people are throwing at you?
Well, it could be. Could be.
I saw a brake pad halfway through a billboard one time, and holes through them and everything else. So there's parts that fly, and of course, you know, there's a lot of safety features out there as well. Here's a checkered flag. Of course, this was it looks like a little bit of altercation at the end. I kind of lost it. And we'll go to winner's circle. There's Jeannie right there in real live color. She finished first, of course, in the number 14 car. And here's her son, Gus. Went to the wrong side of the number. Hold the flag up, Gus. Smiling Gus. They've been racing together a long time. And then they're showing Wayne Metcalf, and tell me Alan McEwen.
That's Alan McEwen, drove a whale of a race, but I understand he was disqualified in the tech inspection, so Wayne Metcalf was awarded third place based on that disqualification.
Oh, okay.
It's a shame, the kid drove a real good race.
Well,
he was proud of himself, and he should have been. He drove well.
Well, that's great. Well, we'll take a couple of calls, or do we have a call?
No, nobody on.
Okay, well then how about let's go over here and talk to our guests for a minute and ask them a little bit about how they got involved in racing and why you got involved in racing.
I don't know. We started out, we used to mud bog years ago, different places around. And then it got to be a lot of traveling and time, money. Then we got into, my dad got into a mini stock car with a partner. And at first I didn't like it. And then I got out there and got hooked on it and bought a car, and that's how I started. I started right in a modified mini too. I've just stayed with it. of like the class.
And Sean, how about you?
I started by taking his dad's hand-me-down junk that they crashed trying to be young again, and I patched them all back together and went out racing, trying to follow in his footsteps a little bit, I guess, trying to be famous.
Well, that's great. You're team members, right? Are you related to each other?
We're stepbrothers.
Stepbrothers, great.
Yeah.
And you live down in Port Charlotte, is that correct?
That's correct.
And there's another track toward that way. How come you don't race at that track? Why do you come to DeSoto?
It's a nicer facility. We raced down there at Charlotte, I guess, for probably 3 years, and just every once in a while we'd come up to DeSoto, and they always treated us nice when we came to DeSoto, and it's a nicer track, and they dropped our class down there, so we came up here, and here's where we're staying.
Well, that's great.
Glad to hear that.
Oh, we love that. And what is your future? I mean, what do you plan to do? I mean, do you want to go way up? Are you happy where you are? Or what type of program do you have for the future in your racing career?
Everybody wants to move up, but as busy as we are at work with the excavating company, and it just takes a lot of time to get into a limited late model. And you have to give those guys a lot of credit that are out there every week with those limiteds, because it's a lot of time, a lot of work, a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
What type of dollars do you all have invested in your cars? I mean, you know, in one car that runs in your class, like just ballpark.
It's hard to say because you improve your car over time. I would say when I first built my car, I probably put about $3,500 to $4,000 in it.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And maintenance on a weekly basis, I mean, what does it cost to go through the pit gate and get ready to run?
If you pay for your crew members to get in, it can cost you anywhere between $50 and $100 a week. So you kind of have to run good and get some money back to keep everything going, keep everybody happy, and make it fun. It'd get old every week.
Yeah, it's an easy $100 a week.
Yeah.
Time you figure tires and fuel and.
Right. And your sponsors, who are your sponsors?
I have a few sponsors on my car. I have Whole Shot Engineering. They're the ones that built my chassis for my car, and Royal Purple Racing synthetic oils. They sponsor the oil that keeps my motor running good, and I also have Gulfwind High Performance builds my motors. Bucky over there. Sweet Parts of Florida, they help me out with quite a few different things on my car. Specialty Parts, he builds my drive shafts and Heim joints and stuff like that I need on the car. And King Excavating.
That's great. And that's your family business. And
right.
If it weren't for King Excavating, you wouldn't be going through that pit gate probably, because they help pay for it.
Probably not.
There you go. We've got Bob on the line right now. Let's go ahead and take Bob's call and see what Bob has to say.
Hello, Bob. Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
What can we do for you tonight?
I just want to talk to you. You guys are doing fine. This is Bob Culberson.
Well, Florida Video Services.
Yep, I got to be working, but I figured I'd call and tell you guys you're doing a great job and you're looking good.
Great. We sure appreciate it. Appreciate having your videos here on the show nights so we can show people what's going on at DeSoto Speedway. It's a big help to us.
I enjoy doing it myself. Margie, those little mistakes you make, don't worry about them, baby.
Thanks for rubbing it in, Bob. I mean,
It's just life.
That's okay.
Just because he pointed them out to you, don't worry about it.
I mean, the difference between a modified and Okay, well, you're right. And you get a little nervous up here every now and then, but, that's all part of it.
You're doing great, Donna.
Well, thanks a lot.
You're always on the other side of the camera, Bob. I think that's the easy side, quite
Yeah, there you go.
Sometimes it is.
Well, we appreciate your call and your support, and your footage is great, and we want to thank you for giving us a call.
Okay, guys, see you later.
And I got my finger on the go-away button, Bob. See you Saturday.
No, he hasn't gotten the gag thing yet, so you can, let him go back on. But, in our next segment, I went out to the Speedway, and when we first had gotten there, Dwayne, I pulled him over the side, and Bob shot some footage of us about the future of the track, his plans for the Speedway, and of course, the program that he's running out there right now. So when we come back in this next segment, we'll do that interview and, of course, take your calls. And we invite you to call us at this time, and we'll see if we can answer those questions. And at this time, we'll go to break, but we look forward to seeing you back again.
11 get together at the finish line. The 11. First year racer. Sponsored by AOM on the auto radio. Good run, Alan. Let's turn it over. Good job, man.
Saving for Bobby's college education is a big priority these days. So when I needed a new car, I went down to Bill Graham Ford. They put my mind at ease by showing me how I could lease the vehicle I wanted at a cost that I could afford. Now I don't have to worry about big monthly payments, so I can concentrate on more important things. Thanks, Bill Graham Ford.
Bill Graham Ford. Great deals, great service, and great people.
Auto racing is exciting, but it's also dangerous. Drivers walk away from accidents without injury because their safety equipment worked. Today's racer needs to have the best in safety equipment. Hi-Fi Racing can provide you with everything you need for you and your car. We carry the best names such as Simpson, Bell, OMP, Featherlight, Butler-Built, Phoenix, Redline, Longacre, and more. Our new 1,200 square foot showroom is conveniently located near I-75 and I-4 in Tampa. Hi-Fi Racing, your source for safety.
If you're into boating, you ought to get to know Marine Surplus. They specialize in hard-to-find marine supplies and accessories. You'll find everything you need in boating, from anchors to zincs, in their 21,000 square feet of boating supplies and accessories. Just a mile and a half north of the airport on Old U.S. Highway 301. Marine Surplus is open from 9 to 5, Monday through Saturday, to serve all your boating needs. No need to spend a bundle. Shop Marine Surplus. Find what you need and save.
Action, fun, excitement. It's all at Desoto Speedway, the South's fastest short track. See late models, stocks, mini stocks, pro figure eights, and the best drivers. Enjoy hours of thrills and excitement. Bring the family. Great food, free parking, and a playground for the kids. Desoto Speedway, 8 miles east of I-75 on State Road 64. It's the place to be in '96.
Hi, welcome back. Nice seeing you again, and this time we're going to take an interview with Dwayne Music. As you know, Dwayne Music is the owner of the Speedway since 1991, and he lives in Pensacola, where he and his family have the auto auction business that he works there so that he can support this big habit that he has, which is racing. That big racetrack out there is quite a big one. He'll describe it as quite a monster. And I think that if you can come out there and see what he's talking about, you'll understand. But we took him aside, asked him a few questions, and at this time we'll roll the tape so you can see what I asked him.
You all know, and this will be our third show that we're going to air this segment on. This is really exciting tonight because you get to meet the owner of DeSoto Speedway, Mr. Dwayne Music, who sits here right beside me. It's Saturday night, and we're getting ready to go racing. If you listen in the background, you can hear the race cars warming up. And we thought we'd take this time just to ask Dwayne a few questions about DeSoto Speedway. Dwayne, have you seen the shows, and what do you think of your new DeSoto Speedway racing show?
Thanks, Mark. I have seen the show. It's terrific. I think it's a great idea. We're just trying to get the word out about the facility and the racing action, and we just want it to be a positive show in the area, and we look forward to doing it for a long time.
Well, that's great. Yeah, we've gotten a lot of positive input, and a lot of callers have been calling in, and a lot of people have wanted to meet you, so we're happy that you're able to be here with us. You're now going into your 6th season as the owner of the racetrack, and I wondered if you could reflect back a little on it and let us know a little bit about the ups, and I'm sure there have been some downs too. Of course, we know weather plagues you, but can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, this is our 6th year. It's been a learning experience. The first year was 91, of course, when we bought the facility, and it's just been a challenge. Every year there's something different, but I think we're finally getting it figured out. There's always something going on out here. This place is a monster in more ways than one, but it's a lot of fun. We look forward to it. I've got such a great staff. It allows me to stay in Pensacola, which is my hometown, and attend the races when I can. But I know when I'm gone that the place is in great hands. I don't worry about it a bit when I'm not here.
Dwayne, tell us a little bit about the racing format and the classes that you have running, and over the course of your ownership, how those classes have evolved into the format that you're running now.
We've changed quite a bit in the last couple of years. We've went from we started out with the basics, and I tried to be a little bit more extravagant with the so-called super late models, and we've had to get away from them, not because we wanted to, just because of the economics. It got so expensive for this facility that I couldn't make it work. We all love them. That's one thing that we changed, Margie. But this area, to me, from what I've been able to tell, is just a down-home country racetrack, and I want to try and promote it that way. We're not a Talladega, we're not a Daytona, and although everybody wants me to try to make it that way, we just don't have the population to do that. And that was the main reason to scale back this year like I did.
Excuse me. Well, as you know, or don't know, but as a former owner, and of course with Dwayne, of course with inflation, the cost of running this racetrack is no small change. It takes upwards and over $20,000 plus to open this racetrack up. A lot of insurance and of course the purse, which is probably 60% of that figure, he pays out and is obligated to pay out every week to his classes, and that insures his field of cars, and which is exciting. And I know that with a lot of these touring seasons, rather series that have started up, I mean, over the years you had USA Racing, which of course is evolved now, and then Hooters, of course, has come on with some. The racers in that super late model series have basically become semi-pro, and do you feel that any of those have contributed to the super late model class not being a weekly event here?
I think you hit it right on the nail, Margie. The series are great for the fans and the drivers, but as a racetrack owner, it hurts me because I'm in competition with those series now, and I'm guilty of I had one for 2 years, and it's a wonderful thing, but the guys get out and travel so much more, and the fans, I guess the fans want to follow them, and if I can't bring that same level of entertainment every week, it hurts you, and that's the main reason why the late models aren't here anymore.
Exactly, and I know that the names that are now on the road that have grown up at these racetracks, you know, we miss seeing those drivers. A lot of them are competing elsewhere, but then we've got racers like Ray Bontrager who decided to take some time off. Pat Nanny, he's racing at another track every now and then, but he's slowed down somewhat. A lot of those racers, but then Scott Wilson and some of the other racers in the sportsman class, which is what it used to be called, is now the DeSoto Speedway late model class. And how have people accepted this as their new late model class? How's that working for you?
Well, I'll be the first to tell you that our fans have stayed the same, or if not increased, over when we had the late model racing. So obviously the racing is just as good. They put on just as good of a show, and as far as a spectator count, I have seen no change, and possibly this is my best year I've had, so I'm happy to report that it must be working good right now for me.
Dwayne, I wanted to ask you a little bit about the upcoming events here as far as the schedule goes. I know that we've got the 4th of July coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about the calendar?
This year, the 4th of July falls on a Thursday of all days, so we've had to change our format a little bit. We moved our celebration up to June 29th. So we'll have our big fireworks display. Pro Figure 8s are coming that night. I get to race in the officials race, which I love. And what else we have that night? Just some, what else? Something, oh, Demolition Derby, another Demolition Derby that night. So that's going to be a pretty wild night. And that's always been my biggest night of the year, so I'd like to pack the place that night, of course. Then also in the year, later in the season, we're going to have the Joey Chitwood Thrill Show. And I think he's been here before, but not since I've owned the track, and everything I heard, it's a great show. So we're looking forward to that. We got quite a few more of our 50-lap shootouts coming up. So, but every week's got a good variety. Next week we've got some go-karts coming in. I'm just trying to bring some different racing so we can try to get more people interested that have never been here before.
Well, everybody knows that DeSoto Speedway is the best short track in the South, and of course we're somewhat prejudiced, but you know, we're the grassroots, and this is where racing starts. We're all sad this week to hear that the passing of Scott Brayton at Indianapolis, the granddaddy of racing. Scott, of course, was on the pole so far. I know there was a better time after he had his accident. But we'd like to extend our thoughts from Bradenton, Florida and Sarasota County up to the Indy family and anyone else that was related there. On a positive note, though, Dwayne, I know that right now you've got a lot of people coming in the gates and everything. And tell us, tonight we're having a demolition derby. We had one caller ask us about enduros, why you didn't run enduros, and I thought maybe you could tell firsthand why you don't run the enduros right now.
Initially, my reasons for no enduros in the past have been I've spent a lot of money on the asphalt, the new surface, and I didn't want to see it torn up. But I have inquired about them, and The two insurance companies that I have dealt with recently more or less tell me they don't want to mess with them. They have a bad history of people getting hurt and injuries, and I just don't want to see that happen here. I think true stock car racing is not enduro racing in my eye, and I'm sure there are some fans that would like to see it, and I feel for you, but I just don't feel that it's right for DeSoto.
Dwayne, I know firsthand what it takes to run this racetrack and the number of employees and the dedicated staff, and of course Pat Bianchi, who is so dedicated and here all the time, which allows you to be up there working as hard as you are in Pensacola to be able to put the kind of money you do into this racetrack. How do you feel about that staff, and how many employees do you have working here on a typical race night?
We have approximately a total of around 65 people, but that also entails the concession area. But just to put on the racing program itself, from when you come in the gate to when you get paid at the back window, it's about 35 people. And we have several people that donate their time, and I'm not counting them as far as on my payroll, but I would say probably 45 people to start the program each week. And without them, there's no way I could do anything. Of course, Pat Bianchi runs the office, and Bert Thomas has taken the duty of race director this year, and that's a tough job. All the jobs are tough. They're a thankless job. You very seldom have anybody come up and thank my officials or my staff, but I know how hard they work. I did it one summer when I lived down here for 3 months, and I'll tell you, it was a job. And I respect everything they do out here every week, and I don't know how they do it. They just do a terrific job.
Well, you've got a great racetrack, and it's near and dear to my heart, and near and dear to the fans' heart that are watching the show. And the whole purpose of this show is to create new race fans, new people that will come out and join the 2,500 other people that already make DeSoto Speedway their home on Saturday night. So thanks again, Dwayne, for speaking with us tonight, and I'm sure you'll be on much more in the future, and we appreciate it.
I look forward to being on the show with you on Wednesday night, Margie.
All right, we'll see you there.
So that's a little bit about Dwayne Music, and we had fun interviewing him. They went on to have a great race night, as you can tell. We weren't able to show you 2 of the feature races due to time, but I think that you can see that we had a good time. And Dwayne has a lot to say, and I'm sure he'll be on the show soon. At this time, I wanted to take the opportunity to thank the sponsors of the racing show here and also of the racetrack. Many of the people who sponsor this show obviously want to promote the racetrack as well, and do. And those include, of course, Bill Graham Ford and Goodyear, whose tires you see running out there all the time, big name in racing. Hooters Racing, and they have their name on just about everything. They own racetracks, they have touring series, and you see their chicken wings everywhere. And Marine Surplus, who I've mentioned earlier, who also sponsor one of our classes. Eldridge's Auto Body, a name that's been around for a long time, does quality work, and we're happy to have them as a sponsor. Hi-Fi Racing, and they have a lot of performance parts, and they'll also be on one time. I think we're going to have a guest speaker from Hi-Fi Racing. Pletcher Racing, of course, by Dave Pletcher, has been racing out of the St. Pete, Tampa Bay area for quite some time. And that's his racing shop, and we're happy to have him. And then the Driver of the Year Award, who's another sponsor here. So at this time, I thought Bert and I could just talk a little bit about what's going to happen next week, and then we're going to go back to the King guys over here, and we're going to go into their shop and talk to them. But what do we have up for next week, Bert?
Something unusual next week, Margie. We're going to start off tonight with go-karts.
Go-karts?
Go-karts. Might sound a little funny for a speedway as big as ours, but they assure me we're going to have about 30 of these things, and they run from 80 to 90 miles per hour.
You're kidding.
And coincidentally, we've got John Paulton on the line right now if you'd like to talk to him about the go-karts.
Is he really on the line?
See how that worked
That's amazing,
out.
isn't
that
it?
great?
I know. I wonder if somebody asked him now.
John, are you there, I hope?
Yes.
Great. Tell us about the go-karts this weekend. What are we going to expect? What are we going to see?
Well, we're hoping that we're going to reach speeds of up to 75 to about 85 mile an hour.
Fast.
That was close.
That big of a track. And we're running Yamaha KT100 racing motors. And they're all high-performance racing go-karts. They're not those little street go-karts, as you can probably imagine now. But it's going to be exciting. It really is. So we got a lot of guys looking forward to it. We got about 20 of us that wants to show up.
20 so far. That's great.
And hopefully there'll be quite a few more. And we got some other guys in other classes that wanted to show up, but they couldn't compete with us, because of different size motors. But like I said, we're about 18 and 19 horsepower Yamahas.
That's fast. And you all race on a regular basis in this area as well, don't you?
Yes, we do. Right down there by the airport on Old 301 or 15th Street. And right across the street is first and third Sundays of the month.
And that's free entertainment, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I've stopped in there and just sat in the bleachers before. It's a lot of fun to watch.
Right, it sure is. What I like about it is, and the reason we like to come out there is to get more people, more of the children that likes racing, to get them started into go-karts, which I guess everybody knows that Jeff Gordon, he started in the racing go-karts.
That's right, he did.
And, just they can work their way right on up, but that's the future racers, is those little fellas.
Right, just think the Rainbow Warrior himself started in one of those little things.
Right.
So basically, are you going to run heats and features, or just a feature, or what kind of format?
We're going to run heats for them, and we're going to also have a 15-lap feature. Be two or three 8-lap heats and a 15-lap feature.
Yeah, well, we all decided to go ahead with the 20.
You want to do 20?
Yeah, we'll go do the 20.
God, look, you just called Bert up on
Let's
the show
do
and he
20
changed
then.
the whole format.
Change it right here, right now. 20 laps. 20 laps.
These guys want to run 100 laps for 1,000 to win next week now. Okay, so, well, that sounds good.
It's going to be exciting to, especially out there at DeSoto. It's been my dream all my life to race DeSoto. And I've raced Sunshine. I've wanted to race DeSoto, and now I get my chance.
Well, we're looking forward to it quite a lot. It's, like I say, it's a rare treat for us to have the go-karts out there, and I think they'll surprise a lot of people with the speed that they attain on that speedway.
Right. I'm hoping that, we can really get on up there. We're all kind of figuring we could probably run in the 17s. I don't know what the
17's flying.
Well, let me tell you, I had a chance to climb in a late model Thursday night, and I don't think I went that fast.
I bet your wife did. She wasn't real happy about that.
Well, I was out there, 3-4 weeks ago when we got this set up, and I took about 20 laps around the track, and I dropped to about 6 seconds. I'm hoping that I can drop a couple more.
Great.
And I was running with high 19s then, and now I got my cart set up for it.
Well, you'll be kicking off the show. You'll be the first heat race, and then after intermission, you'll be the first feature.
All right, I appreciate it.
Hunt me up when you get there, John. We're looking forward to meeting you.
I sure will, and I'll see you tomorrow night.
Thanks for calling, John.
Right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
That reminds me, Margaret, we do have practice at the track on Thursday nights from 5 o'clock until dark. The public's welcome to come out there. If they sit on the spectator side, they can sit there for free and watch these guys practice with their cars. If they want to come into the pits, they can pay $5 for a pit entry fee. Any children under the age of 16, they'll have to stay on the other side because our insurance just doesn't allow them in there. But we encourage you to come out and watch the guys practice. You get a little different view into what they do, and you'll find out that the people you see on Thursdays are the same folks that you see first, second, third place on Saturdays. These are the guys that take it serious, and they're out there.
Well, that's great. Now, also, we'll have the Q Auto Accident Attorneys Mini Stock 50-lap shootout. And I think that's basically 50 laps, which that's a lot of laps for those cars. It's almost like an enduro for mini stocks.
Yeah, it sure is, and it's going to be 50 laps straight through. I talked with them last week at the drivers' meeting, and there were just a couple of them that weren't too sure they could make it, and I told them, well, you need to get bigger gas tanks then because everybody else thinks they can make it. Now, in that, we're going to have a $100 award for the fast qualifier, and that's donated from Steve White's Towing in Palmetto, $50 of it, and $50 from Tommy DeVito of DeVito Auto Parts. We're also got a $100 award for the halfway leader, whoever's leading at 25 laps.
The big bucks are going to roll. And, of course, we're watching the Slintz family, and we have a lot of family members racing together here. We talked about the mom and the son, etc. But basically, Pop Slintz and his son Brian are like neck and neck there with points, so we're real happy about that.
And I think they feel they're going to be there at the halfway because $50 was donated by Matt Foy of Slintz Electric, so I think they want to keep it in the family.
I think it sounds like a conspiracy to me.
And Butch Delhagen,
capital C.
Butch Delhagen of Suncoast Pond and Jewelry donated the other 50 for the halfway leader.
Oh, that's great.
We appreciate that. It gives the guys a little more to run for.
And, of course, we'll look forward to that next week. So after the next commercial break, we're going to go back to the King guys. We're going to take the cameras into their shop and a little bit of warm-up out at the Speedway. And, of course, they're going to narrate the whole time and make it real easy on us. And then we'll take your questions, so give us a call. At this time, we will go to break, and we want to also thank you all for tuning in to us on the third week here of our DeSoto Speedway Racing Show.
If you're into boating, you ought to get to know Marine Surplus. They specialize in hard-to-find marine supplies and accessories. You'll find everything you need in boating, from anchors to zincs, in their 21,000 square feet of boating supplies and accessories. Just a mile and a half north of the airport on Old U.S. Highway 301. Marine Surplus is open from 9 to 5, Monday through Saturday, to serve all your boating needs. No need to spend a bundle. Shop Marine Surplus. Find what you need and save.
Auto racing is exciting, but it's also dangerous. Drivers walk away from accidents without injury because their safety equipment worked. Today's racer needs to have the best in safety equipment. Hi-Fi Racing can provide you with everything you need for you and your car. We carry the best names such as Simpson, Bell, OMP, Featherlight, Butler-Built, Phoenix, Redline, Longacre, and more. Our new 1,200 square foot showroom is conveniently located near I-75 and I-4 in Tampa. Hi-Fi Racing, your source for safety.
Action, fun, excitement. It's all at Desoto Speedway, the South's fastest short track. See late models, stocks, mini stocks, pro figure eights, and the best drivers. Enjoy hours of thrills and excitement. Bring the family. Great food, free parking, and a playground for the kids. Desoto Speedway, 8 miles east of I-75 on State Road 64. It's the place to be in 96.
At Bill Graham Ford, we put our promises in writing and stand behind them. And we also stand behind our customers, taking care of your automotive needs and making sure you know how much we appreciate your business. Your family depends on you. And when it comes to sales, service, or leasing, you can depend on the Bill Graham Ford team to make your life a little easier. Bill Graham Ford. Great deals, great service, and great people. Conveniently located on Business 41 in Bradenton, just minutes from Sarasota.
Hey, welcome back again. We'd like to take this last segment and go into the King's shop here, and we've got Jack and Sean ready to narrate for us. And as soon as they're ready to roll, I think the first shot was when Bob went to your shop at your house. Is your shop at your house?
Well, no, it's at our house is across the street.
Okay.
I live on one block, and Sean lives one block down the road.
Oh, well, isn't that's convenient?
One big happy family.
I was going to say. So that's good for those nights when you're literally burning the midnight oil.
Absolutely.
And that never happened. But here we go.
No,
Windshield
never
wiper.
happened.
Oh, that's not a race car. Okay, this is the outside of the shop. Go ahead and y'all tell us what we're looking at.
This is my car right here.
There's an old jet ski.
Yeah, that was a jet ski we had before we had race cars, and it just sits there now.
There's sometimes we could use them at the speedway to get in the ring.
Yeah, I know, in the infield.
A couple of trophies, a Royal Purple banner, Jack's helmet.
Yeah, just the tricks of the trade laying around.
Yeah.
That's pretty quiet in there. Now, this was shot during the week. Now, whose car is this?
That's Brian Elge's car. That car's been around. That was Sean's first car back. Whew.
That thing's about 6
Spider
or 7
webs
years
all over
old, and everybody that's drove it's pretty much wrecked.
Who's that one belong to?
That's my wife's car right there.
Oh, she races too?
Mm-hmm. And that's Sean drove that car. Oh wow, dude.
What are you
I
laughing
drove them all.
Now, what's that?
That's a dragline, buddy.
That's part of
That's their excavating equipment. And here's their inspiration. No, I'm only kidding. Speaking of inspiration, there's Dennis Wilson, almost the world's oldest race car. No, Dennis, I'm only kidding.
The guy in the white shirt there, that's my crew chief, Mike Morgenthaler. The guy standing on the trailer, that's Jeff Slack. He works on my car.
Damon Cumber sitting on the trailer. He helps me a lot. There's my ex-girlfriend. You can see her in the background. Ex-wife.
Jack, that's you with the checkerboard driving suit, right?
Yes. And that's Bill Schaefer there helping me lift the hood off the car. Probably getting ready to check and see if there's anything broken.
You just couldn't survive without all those guys helping you out.
No, you sure can. It'd be really tough.
Every car out there brings a crew with them that they all volunteer their time. And what are you doing now? Just
probably just doing a pre-race inspection, see if any plug wires are off, loose bolts, anything that could cause you trouble during a race.
what type of cars do you run? What type of cars are those, and what other types do you run against?
My car is a Mustang, is what the roof is off of, and we built the body ourselves at our shop there. We have a brake, and we build most all of our stuff.
Well, here we are on my car looking for basically the same trouble Jack talked about. There's Jeff throwing me a wrench.
That's you in the red suit.
That's me in the Santa Claus suit there.
I tell you, there are no tire marks on that car at all. That thing is fancy, is it?
That's a brand new bodied car. Like Jack says, we have all the sheet metal parts there to make a pretty nice looking body, and it's pretty cheap actually to build a body as opposed to going to the junkyard and looking for parts to fit the car. So
that's why you can keep them looking nice. If you know, we do most of the stuff there at our shop, so.
Well, that's one of the things I noticed about you and several other crews. Every week they come in, they look like brand new cars. And that's a real credit to racing, real asset to us to have them look that nice.
And one of the hardest things when a car is being built is the interior sheet metal, and the way you've got it beaded in there, it's very nice. And that is also a very major safety feature. In the case of fire, it's well sealed and everything, and I know that part of it's come a long way. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, this body that's on my car here, we put on. Well, in 1 week, the other body wasn't really that bad, but we decided to change and put a new one on, and so we built it.
Oh, that's great. Now, is this a warm-up lap preparation here? Or?
Yeah, I believe we're probably getting ready to go out, maybe for a heat race even. It's still pretty daylight out.
You run radio in there?
Not at DeSoto Speedway.
I didn't think so. I was just kidding, because it looked like I saw a wire on the steering wheel.
There is. There's a wire on the steering wheel. My helmet's all wired for it. When we race Auburndale, and we've raced quite a few tracks around, New Smyrna, Orlando, and on the bigger races they'll let us run radios.
Are the rules for your class compatible with many of the other tracks, or somewhat, or is that a controversial question?
They're different everywhere you go. Yeah. Everybody's got one rule or two rules that's different that tries to keep you eliminated. I don't know what it is. I think everybody should get together and have the rules the same, but it just doesn't seem to work out.
Yeah, it's tough. It really is. And of course, DeSoto is a lot different than the other tracks. You know, bigger, runs different gearing and things like that. What other type of cars run in your class? Like some of the people that are watching don't know that much about racing. Like, give me an example of another type of car.
We've got pickup trucks in our class. We've got Nissans. Toyotas, Volkswagens,
a couple Chevrolets.
So it's pretty wide open.
Yeah, pretty much a variety.
Somebody wanted to get into it. You mentioned $3,500. Is that like a high end, or I mean, if they wanted to get into that class?
It depends on
range.
It depends on how much of the stuff you can do yourself. If the more of it you can do yourself, of course, the cheaper it gets. If you have to have somebody else do everything, then it can get really expensive.
Right, and you say Bucky builds your motor, so that's obviously the biggest expense.
Right.
And of course tires after that.
Well, we found we used to do our own motors, and you get to hurrying on them, and our shop's not set up with the air-conditioned engine building room, and you make mistakes, and it gets expensive.
It sure does. You don't just hang it off a limb on a tree outside. You just anyway, well, that's great. Well, thanks a lot for taking us down there, and we're real happy that you're racing out there. You have a quality team, and that's what it's all about. So.
Yeah, we were supposed to meet Bob there. We were supposed to be at the shop to kind of help him go through it, but I forgot. We're real busy at work, and I forgot about it, so sorry about that, Bob.
So does that mean Bob's a burglar now, or what?
Yeah, I think he did just break it.
He went and shot it himself in that Red Dog beer sign, right? But also, Bert, we wanted to ask you a little bit about the rest of the program this week and what everybody can expect to see.
Yeah, we got as far as the go-karts. We didn't talk about Callahan Tire open-wheel modifieds. They'll be back. Always exciting. Terrific class. That class is really growing. We've had as many as 36 of them one night show up to race. It's just fabulous. Rose Auto Store's DeSoto late models. Sarasota Jungle Garden street stocks. We mentioned them earlier several times, but we didn't mention Sarasota Jungle Gardens. Certainly appreciate them sponsoring the class. And the quality automotive windshield service pure stocks will be the final feature of the night. That'll be a pretty good night of racing.
Jam-packed.
Yep.
And speaking of jam-packed, I mean, if you think we don't have enough laps of racing at DeSoto Speedway this weekend, just look at what the slate holds on Sunday, on the 26th. I mean, you've got, speaking of open wheel cars, I mean, we've got two dueling races, of course. A big granddaddy, the Indianapolis 500, will be running, and then its counterpart, very controversial. We won't go into any political details, but the big guys started fighting, and what happened is we ended up with two Indy races, basically, and you know, whoever's got that name patented today. But the Michigan race course, of course, will be running the US 500, and then in Charlotte, our favorite, the NASCAR Winston Cup cars will be running the Winston 600. So if you think you don't have enough laps, then you better go get some more TVs at your house and or radios and wire them all, because there'll be more laps than you'll know what to do with. And we've had a great time with you all here tonight. On a rather sad note, we would like to say that we wish Scott Brayton's family well in Indy. They'd had his memorial service in Michigan today. And we did mention that. But on a great note, we want to say that racing is a wonderful sport, and it's certainly grown. It's the second largest sport in the United States. And here in our own backyard at Desoto Speedway is no exception. Desoto Speedway is located on State Road 64, and for $8 for an adult, it's about the best 4 hours of entertainment that you can get, and I think that Bert will agree with me on that. Don't you think, Bert?
Sure do. And remind you that this weekend at 6:30 qualifying starts for the mini stock race, and then at 7 o'clock we'll be racing.
That's great.
We'll see you there.
Okay, so we'll look for you next Wednesday night here on the 4th edition of the DeSoto Speedway Racing Show, and thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We appreciate your comments, and if you'd like to call the track with any questions or anything else, we'll certainly love to have those calls. So thank you very much for being with us tonight. We look forward to seeing you again next week. So this is Margie Nanny, along with Jack King, Sean McLaughlin, and race director Bert Thomas, and we want to thank you very much.
Thank y'all for having us here tonight,
that's
too.
great.
I appreciate it.
Thank
Good.
you.
Okay.
Something different.
Good night.
Oh, good. Come back.
Night.